Hello and welcome to the Azure Greg stream. This is the second stream of hopefully quite a few, where I'm going to be talking to lots of people in the community. So to start off with, the idea is I'm going to stream and talk to people about things that they do in the community and things they do in their job. And then down the line, once I get the hang of this a little bit better, I'm going to start streaming code. So we're going to write some code and get some people on and talk about things like Bicep and Terraform and infrastructure as code and all the good stuff, and probably some C sharp and learning some other stuff. We'll get some loads of different people on. But today we have Dwayne Natwick. So let me add to the stream. Dwayne, good to see you. How are you, sir?
Good to see you, Gregor. Good to
How are
talk to
you?
you. I'm doing well.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to you for a wee while.
It
Yeah,
has been quite
yeah,
a while. Yeah,
it was
it has
like
been quite a
Christmas
while.
last
We've
year.
been
The
just
last time I spoke.
busy doing our own paths, and every once in a
Yeah,
while
yeah,
they cross, right?
yeah. It's good when they cross.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're going to go on and we're going to talk about AI ML impact on technology and security landscapes. That's quite a mouthful. So I was doing a little bit of homework on this
So
stuff.
it's quite a mouthful and
Yeah,
quite a bunch of stuff
hopefully
that.
you're gonna kind of talk to me about it, and I'm just going to ask one or two questions. So what have you been up to in terms of AI ML security stuff? What have you been up to these
Oh
days?
well, I mean, obviously, with the explosion over the last few months of everybody talking about Chat GPT and generative AI and all of those things, it's like all of a sudden now a sci-fi movie that we're working in,
Indeed.
right? so so and with me, in my role, my position within Evident, our whole group is focused on cloud and hybrid
Yep.
based security. And so, as more and more AI and ML, coding and all of those things come in, security becomes a really really important aspect to it. Not to mention the actual ability to use AI and ML as a tool for for security is also, they go hand in hand. So,
Yeah.
there's the threat that's created by the impact and the accelerated use of AI and ML, but there's also the positive side of it, of how it can be utilized to help find anomalous behavior and find that scripted type of bot type of behavior within
Yeah.
your environments as well.
Yeah. I think when we were at the MVP summit, there was some talks and some questions asked. I don't really want to go. I can't really mention it, but like somebody was asked, like, what's the kind of fear going forward, and one of the replies was AI for harm.
Hmm.
Using Chat GPT to kind of write scripts that cause problems, which was an interesting thing because I never really thought about that. How people can use AI to kind of do become bad actors. So that's quite an interesting
Yeah, a
topic on
lot.
its
I
own.
mean, you think of even some of the stuff that even not even outside of technology, some of the things that there's a big strike with actors and screenwriters right now, right? And a lot of that has to do with their likeness being generated
Mm. Oh
by
yeah.
AI,
Hmm.
and the ability that AI has to replicate your voice and
The
things
deep
of that
fakes type
nature.
stuff. Is that what you mean?
What's that?
Is that the deep fakes that you see on the internet? You see some of these things.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
just using things to essentially stealing not just personal identifiable information anymore, but almost your personality. And you said, like, using AI for harm, and one of the things that I don't hear talked about enough when it comes to all of this with AI, that is something that really, from a security and
Mm.
compliance and risk perspective, is really something that I see as important. And when I do an AI talk or teach like the AI fundamentals classes and things like that, is utilizing AI responsibly,
Yeah.
and understanding that AI is only as beneficial or as good as the responsibility that you put behind it and developing it and
Mm.
developing the uses of it. Because if you put bias into it, like you said, you use it for harm, it can be very dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. Is that in the security world? Is all that new, or do they have things in place, or does AI kind of change the way of thinking? Do you think?
I mean, to a degree, AI, machine learning tactics and algorithms and things like that have been used, really, and been evolving with a lot of the SIM and SOAR type of solutions. You look at services like the identity protection platform within Azure AD, and what that's doing is it's looking for user risk and sign-in risk, and it's using in the back end, it's using machine learning algorithms to understand that, hey, this person's behavior is that they're working on this IP address, and they're going in and they're accessing these resources. If they kind of deviate from that, then there's some sort of alert that takes place, right? Or conditional access policies and how they recognize if you're moving around. I mean, that's all utilizing some form of AI or ML in the back end to recognize common behaviors and find those deviations from it. And that, that's ultimately how, within security, within SIM solutions, when you're doing threat hunting and all of those things, using things like Security Copilot, and I know that was big at Microsoft Secure and all of that. Those are all ways that we can get better to recognize that kind of bot type behavior, utilizing AI to recognize AI kind of in a way.
Yeah. What's have you actually used Microsoft Secure Copilot? I've read about it. But
I haven't played with it. I haven't played with it myself yet. Some of the people in my company are using that. We have a whole bunch of data scientists ourselves that write Python code and write threat hunting scripts and things like that. So I don't have to do that on a daily basis. But
you don't do that as well, do you?
No, but it's fun stuff to learn, though. We're doing all sorts of we're utilizing things in that cyber mesh architecture that that's kind of become a de facto standard that Gartner came out with a year or two ago, and that's really really utilizing AI and ML for good, from a security standpoint, to find those bad behavior, those bad actors, those anomalies that are out there.
Yeah, I'm not really into AI and ML as such that much, but I do see even improvements in the Azure portal, where you get recommendations and Azure Advisor and stuff like that. It's really quite good. Yeah, more and more of these kind of things are good. Do you use Copilot at all for any of the writing code or anything like that at the moment?
I'm not. I don't play. I don't play to be a coder.
I've been using it.
I'm not like I don't sit and do code. I'm more of an infrastructure and security person, and do a lot more in the GUI than I do writing bicep code and things like that. But I know enough to be dangerous from that standpoint. That's what I need. That's what I need to do, is maybe I could be even more dangerous if I started using Copilot and Security Copilot.
The thing about AI and ML is all the opportunities that it brings as well, because it opens up new doors for lots of people. Like, I used to write C# code professionally, believe it or not, a long time ago, and haven't done it for a while. So when I went back recently, I started my own playground area when I'm writing some code to do some just calling REST APIs in Azure to get some interesting stuff back. And even that, I'm like, how do I do that again? And I'm actually started using Copilot Chat, which is actually really, really good. So I can put the cursor on a line of code and just start saying, why is this throwing an exception? It gives you a full explanation, and even gives you examples on how to refactor your code and stuff like that. I find that stuff amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the if you think about it, and you think about what what the copilots and those AI capabilities are, we almost got to think back years ago and think back, how did we do stuff before Google was Google or Bing were in existence, where we could just search, if you're stuck somewhere in code, you could just type it in and you can usually find an answer, right? It's really kind of that next evolution of that, right? We went from books, everybody had all these books on their shelves where it helped them with C# code or Windows Server admin and all of that, and then it went to Google. Now we're actually going where where we can chat something in, and it comes back with a full answer generated by AI. It's not much different than that. I guess it's kind of like just a next step evolution of things.
I saw a demo of, when I was at the MVP Summit, they brought up a demo of data within Power BI, where, I don't know if you've seen this, but basically they went in and had a table. I think it was cars and car manufacturers and a SQL table, and they brought that in using I think it was Power BI. They were using Copilot
Mm-hmm.
within that, and the demo was just unbelievable. You just basically like make sense of this data and then show me a web app and then create the front end web app, like the CRUD app for that. I
Mm-hmm.
just think some of that stuff looks really,
Yeah,
really
I've
good.
seen a lot of people doing stuff like that, you
Yeah,
know, and yeah, that it's there's so many powerful tools because we're just ingesting so much raw data now, right? And
yeah,
now what do we do with all this raw data that are coming from all of these connected devices that are in our home and in our businesses, right?
yeah. The thing that interests me is like we use Top Desk at work for like tickets and that, and the thing that can interest me is how can I use AI to interrogate this and get useful information out? Because I don't really want to. I don't really want to connect to the SQL database and write queries myself and try and figure out like how many tickets
Yeah,
have we got compared to last month and all that stuff. I just want that. I just want AI tool to point it at a copy of my database, maybe not even production database, and just see the capabilities are. Because you need to be careful with these tools, I think, in terms of what data you actually present, because nobody's entirely sure what happens with the data.
yeah, you really got to that's really
Yeah.
the risk and the governance of it all, and if you're dealing with data across geos, you got all the sovereignty laws and GDPR and all of those things that come into play that it's really hard, especially SaaS-based tools. We're
Mm.
we're we're evaluating a lot of different tools to do things for compliance, and you know, and one of the big things, especially if you're working with the U.S. or and going across into Europe where
Mhm.
GDPR is, or even if
Yeah.
you go, I work for a French company, and the sovereignty laws in France are
Mm.
really tight
The
and
same in Germany. Yeah.
really deep.
Yeah.
You really got to take a lot into account, and so understanding where like you're standing up, where somebody's standing up those SaaS based tools and where that data is being processed is really important.
And I noticed a question from Jan who's on LinkedIn, so I'm just going to bring up this question for you. So Jan, hi Jan, how are you? So it says I've discovered Azure Anomalies Detector. Is it something that fits in the security landscape?
Oh, yeah, definitely,
So
definitely.
what is that first of all for people
I
like
mean,
me?
just yeah,
Don't
just
know this.
when you're talking about anomalies, you're talking about anything that's outside the norm. So if you if I believe and I believe I've read a little bit about the Azure anomalies detector, and I think that's like looking at, hey, a virtual machine has been created in this region or things like that, where you've been, you're generally in, say, a US region, or and all of a sudden
Mhm.
you've stood something up in Europe East or something like that. And so it's going to it'll trigger some sort of an alert around the anomalies, and that really fits well into that landscape and what we were describing
Yeah,
in terms of governing your resources and where
yeah.
your data is, and all of those things. So really great question around that, and yeah, and something that I haven't played with it a whole lot, but I've seen some different posts around that anomalies detector, and that's the thing. That's where this is where AI really helps out, because it triggers that anomalous behavior, that behavior
Mm,
that's outside the norm of what you're doing. If you're in Azure every day, or somebody's in Azure every day doing something, and then you go way out off the beaten path or out in left field, to use a baseball term. Those are things that AI is going to help trigger, and that maybe somebody, the human, somebody watching it from a human
mm.
perspective might not catch.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess for the data people, for the like data analysts and things like that, what sort of things do they need to think about with these tools? Because I see everyone in the MVP forums is always like, I want to use OpenAI service to bring it look at my own data. What's the sort of security implications of doing that on customer data?
Well, you gotta know where, know what the requirements are that
Yeah.
customer has, or what your organization has around the handling of that data, and understand that any kind of data, whether it's raw or not, might have some level of sensitive data to it, and you got to find and understand to separate that data and classify that data properly. Those are all things you have to do, and then as we pointed out, the what the requirements are in terms of handling custodianship, the ownership, and the sovereignty of that data. If it's, and that, is more industry based in the United States, but you get into things country based and EU based in terms of GDPR that really become important, and maintaining where that is, make sure that it is not, that it's not, that you're not duplicating it, and that where it is,
Yeah.
having proper governance procedures. And I stress this in any talk that I have, planning and understanding ahead of time before you start to just put things in place is of the utmost important. If you don't plan, if you don't understand what your data is, what your requirements are, you can't architect to it.
Do you think this introduction of AI and ML and large companies, I'm kind of thinking of, do you think they need security officers now for things like that? Or do you think that's
I think any company needs a security officer.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Or risk officers are big, are becoming more and more important, and becoming more and more known, and becoming a more and more integral part of the C level of the organization, because of the potential ramifications that might have if there is some sort of data leak. Those are the people that become, that the fines and maybe jail time even goes to. I think there was even an article that I saw out on social media like last week around some of that. But that's a key thing. If you're not managing your risk and identifying your risk, and how you're handling the risk of your data and your PII and PHI and all of those things within your environment, you're liable. The customer is liable. They might be able to transfer that to a managed service provider or the CSP but they're going to have to prove negligence. It's their burden of proof as the data owner to prove that somebody else was negligent and it wasn't you. But you're still going to be responsible for those fines and potentially, in some cases, jail time.
One of the other things I thought interesting was I saw a Windows 11 demo with Copilot in that. Have you seen that?
I have not seen that one yet.
Oh, that was quite interesting. Yeah, it's coming to Windows 11. It'll be interesting to see when that might change people's experience. But I was going to ask you about that because I wasn't sure. Like, if this is on my machine, it's fine. I kind of want to get into how secure is the data on my machine if I'm running something like Copilot on my laptop. If I've got my downloads folder with PDFs downloaded from from everyday life, you don't really want these documents to be scanned. But I saw a demo of a guy basically open up a PDF and said, summarize this PDF in 10 lines. And I was like, yeah, I wouldn't want to do that if it's a letter from my lawyer or my bank account and stuff like that. So, but I'm just trying to think what's the security implications around things like that. Because that must be quite a valid question.
I mean, it's like you said, it's you're gonna have to make sure that you're hardening all of your devices and really walling off data that you don't want touched. That's really what it comes down to. If you classify it and you identify it properly and protect, you can essentially utilize different tools out there to wall that information off essentially on your devices, so that it isn't scanned by certain tools that are out there. That's really what the most important aspect of things. And like I said, if you don't know what's out there, or you're duplicating data in different places, then it just continues to sprawl and web all over the place.
So I know for a fact that you do a lot of teaching of courses. Have you been doing lots of AI and ML stuff recently?
I have not. I'll talk about it when I'm doing like security talks and things like that. Especially I've been doing a lot more. Been getting more involved in ISC Squared as a vendor independent certification path, and so a lot more around that in terms of thinking about not just the Microsoft ecosystem, but the whole hybrid ecosystem and all the risks and how you govern and maintain compliance and identify your risk appetite, and all of those things have been something I've been talking a lot more about, because those have been the certs I've been obtaining lately, and
Yeah, I saw that.
and stuff like that. So those are some things that become really important. Become something really important to me to discuss and get out there. As well as things around not just Microsoft, but even AWS. We do a lot with AWS and Google as well. So they all have their own take on things, on how they, how security is handled, and what they do to leverage security tools and things like that. And you constantly, Gregor, we're constantly in a learning curve, right?
Oh yeah, I was
Constantly
going to say.
changing, constantly
Yeah,
growing. So not just am I teaching it, I'm learning a lot of it
yeah,
and then
I was going to
teaching it
ask you
as
about that.
well.
How much reading are you doing? You must be doing a lot of reading.
I have been doing a lot, actually. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of. I've had the opportunity to, uh, being somebody that's written some books for Pact. They've been coming to me and sharing some other authors' books to me, that I've been learning a lot from other authors too. And again, around security and different different tools. Something I also did and did over last school year was I volunteered doing a cybersecurity class for a high school for like
Oh,
12th
nice.
graders, kids that are just about to go to university, and
Yeah.
did an intro to cybersecurity, and we were playing with a lot of the tools that like Kali Linux has.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
and then I was able to this just a few months ago, one of the packed marketing people sent me a book on Kali Linux. I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
nice.
good. Well, this would have been helpful last year when I was doing it on the fly, but now I've got a little bit a book that's going to help me a little bit when I volunteer in that class again this fall. So
Cool. You mentioned like other clouds. So I'm just an Azure kind of guy. I don't really do AWS at the moment, and I don't do Google Cloud. What have they got like in terms of? Obviously, they're not using OpenAI. I don't think so. What have they got in terms of AI stuff at the moment? Are they
um,
behind Azure? Do you think, or are they ahead of the game, or
I think
what?
from everything that I've read and I've gathered, Google has something very similar to OpenAI. So they're kind of neck and neck, because they're
Right.
trying to, because OpenAI, Microsoft's trying to get, got OpenAI and Bing now, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Google's trying to do the same thing in Google search. Um, uh, AWS has Bedrock, is what
Okay.
their AI engine is called, which is, and that's kind of their OpenAI engine. So and we do things to develop we have our own MDR and SIM solution that is multi-cloud, that
Ah,
we
nice.
bring a lot of those tools in, and utilize their tools to help to find threats and detect threats and vulnerabilities within customer environments, in a multi-cloud setting. So
That's nice.
so our data scientists and engineers are all playing with all of those tools right
Mm.
now. So right now, from an overall standpoint, Microsoft's probably a little bit, seems to be a little bit ahead of the game, if not just from a marketing standpoint, right? A lot more people are talking about OpenAI
Yeah. Yeah.
than
Yeah.
others. The weird thing, I don't know if it's been the same in the UK, but there's been a lot of news stories. I'll watch the national news, and there's been like 2 or 3 times in the last last 6 months that there's been a story about AI and about OpenAI and
Mm-hmm.
about the AI wars between
Yeah.
Microsoft and Google and
Yeah.
AWS.
I think Satya Nadella laid down the gauntlet to Google, saying, here's our game. Let's see yours." So
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
always good. It's interesting. I love the fact that it's something new to learn, and I love
Hmm.
the fact they're going to build it into all the tools as well. Like all of Office, everything that is pretty much everything that I run on my laptop is going to use AI. Like
Hmm.
PowerPoint, Word, Excel, everything they use day to day. Some of the stuff in PowerPoint already is pretty clever.
Yeah.
What else? I use what's the tool I use? I use Descript, so I can edit videos and kind of get text out of it and all that. I mean, I love all that stuff.
Hmm.
I'm going to ask you, what tools do you use? Have you used ChatGPT, and do you use any other tool on a regular basis that's got AI in it?
I really haven't
No,
gotten to do. I haven't
too
done
busy.
that a whole lot. It's like how much of that do I get into that
Yeah,
then takes my own intellectual property out of it and things like that, right? So we were creating some blogs for a campaign, and somebody else, and one of the people within the business group actually did use GPT to create the blog articles, and then sent them to me to proofread and to add to. And the one thing that I found was it was super dry and just really dictionary like material. There was no, you could tell there was no human
You need
aspect to it.
opinions, I think you need some sort of, you can tell, you're right, you can tell, because it'll just say this is the facts, and I like input. That's why I always ask people, what do they do and what they use it for. I use ChatGPT every day. I'm not going to lie. I use it for all sorts of stuff. I'm currently playing a bit with generating QR codes, so I can use this for all sorts of stuff and things like that. Yeah, okay. I quite like it. I'll do like the PowerPoint designer, and I'm also using Descript.
Okay.
Things like that.
Yeah. But, well, I've used PowerPoint Designer a bit, a bit, and I've noticed more and more, how it's generating, auto generating alt text a lot. Within those tools, which is really nice.
Yes.
Because that's something that, if you want to, if you're trying to make your content, available to everybody, that's a key thing. And going back and putting that in after the fact kind of, gets a little tedious sometimes. So the fact that having it done, and utilizing those tools to generate that automatically is really cool.
Indeed. Jan was saying, unfortunately, Google Bard is not available in Europe. Apparently, they're playing safe with AI Europe. Well, that's fair enough, I guess. I've not really looked at Google stuff, to be honest.
No, I haven't too much myself.
Yeah, they must have real problems trying to get this stuff through laws in different countries and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, it depends. There's, like you said, there's a certain level of, is it how much is it scanning? How intrusive is it on my device?
People just won't trust it.
Like
people just won't trust it. Like, we've got customers. We've got a customer in Germany who has to have the data in Germany. They're not allowed to. It's not allowed to leave the country because that's a law.
Yep.
And they'll just be like, no, don't trust it, and that's fine. There will be customers who just. I'd love to know if you use OpenAI on your data. I haven't actually read into this, but I probably do. Need to go and look into what actually happens with that data and how is it used. Because they'll be using these tools to kind of improve them, go over time. Like they're looking at what people's searching on and things like that. So you have to be careful.
Where does that metadata go, and where is it stored?
Like when I worked at JP Morgan, I wasn't allowed to use things that like formatted JSON, because you're pasting code into someone else's website. So you have to be. People don't think about that, but you have to be careful how you use ChatGPT in your working life. You've got to be careful about what you're asking it and what you're potentially getting it to do.
Yeah,
which people don't always think about. Right, moving on. I wanted to share Dwayne's Twitter is this. So if you can reach out to Dwayne on Twitter here, and you can also reach out to him on LinkedIn. So if you want to get in touch with him there. So a couple of other things that I know you're interested in and working on. You do Azure Back to School. So for the people who don't know what Azure Back to School is, give us a little intro to that and what you got coming up this year.
Yeah. Thank you, Gregor. Well, I got the inspiration of this from you and Richard, and the festive calendar a few years back. As well as Joe and Thomas's Azure Spring Clean, and we were like, hey, there's nothing really going on in the fall, so
good idea.
in the US, we all go back to school in September. Usually, it's a little bit different in different countries and how the school year works, but generally, school year ends some like August. Ends May, June, and then August, September, school goes back in session. So my thought was, hey, let's do something. Came up with the Azure Back to School name. It's a month of daily content being done by the community. It's another one of those for the community, by the community kind of events. Yep. Everybody's accepted. You can go to this site and you'll find the call for speakers link in the 2023 posts that are on the site. everybody's accepted. We're already up to 50 sessions.
Are you still open, or are you closed
Oh,
now?
yep, it's open till the 30th. We've got it open till
Okay.
July 30th. So,
Right, cool.
so yeah, you got 20
So
days left.
everyone watching needs to go and sign up. No excuses.
Go sign up. No excuses.
Yeah,
You got
for all the
plenty of time. Everybody's accepted. I'm accepting.
That's brilliant.
Everybody's getting their little acceptance. They're getting their acceptance as it goes through. I've been seeing some of the sessionized cards being posted on social
Oh,
media.
nice.
No dates. The calendar will be live in like mid-August. I pulled Derek Smith in to help me out last year as a co-organizer. So
Yep.
so we'll get together probably first part of August and start to figure out what we did last year.
Mhm.
And Derek was integral in this as he went through the close to 70 sessions that we had, and he tried to put them and compartmentalize each day to have a certain theme, essentially. So if we had a bunch of stuff around bicep or
Yep.
arm templates and stuff like that, he put it into one day. And if it was security, he put them in these days and stuff like that. And something we're doing differently this year too is we've given an option for live streaming, so we'll stream some of these on StreamYard as well, out on YouTube, out on the YouTube channel. I created an Azure Back to School YouTube channel, so those are so it'll all be out on that YouTube channel. So you can go on YouTube,
Awesome.
search Azure Back to School,
Cool.
and you can subscribe and not miss a session. But yeah, there's some articles, but most people are doing either pre-recorded on demand videos or doing a stream. So yep,
Perfect.
really excited about it.
I've put up the link to Sessionize. So
yep,
yeah, good stuff. Awesome.
Sessionize is great. I know you and Richard have used it for festive.
Yeah. The fact you can do it for
using
free
that
events.
code and just getting it right up on your site.
People don't realize we should talk about that actually.
And the whole calendar and everything.
Let's talk about that just now, because if you run a free event, people might not be aware of this. Sessionize allow you, once you create the event, Sessionize allow you to. Well, you talk about it. You know more about it than I do. Yeah.
No, I probably don't, but yeah. But, I mean, yeah. But yeah, Sessionize is if you're running an event or you're running a user group and it's inclusive and free, you can they'll give you all of the tools that you need to run your event, to do your call for speakers, to do your scheduling, and as well as it'll give you code that you can put into your websites. And when you'll see when you go to the Azure Back to School website and you go to this year's speakers, every time I add a speaker, their picture pops up on that website, and their profile and the sessions that have been accepted are all already there, just like that. I mean, it's super easy, because first year before I knew that, I used Sessionize for the call for speakers, and then I put all the YouTube links and everything. I'm using a markdown table, and I'm creating a markdown table, and every day I'm putting YouTube links into it for the daily sessions, and I'm like, no way.
I need to make a shout out to Isadora, who basically said, "Why are you doing this? Because you can use the API." And I was like, "What?" She changed my life, and she showed me that. I was like, "Oh my god!" Every night I was like HTML div tags and all this, and I was like, "Wow, this is taking forever." And she's like, "No. If you just click on this, and then we should maybe do a session on that at some point to show people how to do that."
I think you did post something.
I did a while back.
I think you posted something around the time of festive calendar, how you did it, or because I think a lot of people were asking you online, and then I used a little bit of that, and I think me and you talked at the time just how to do it when I was trying to do it last year, because last year was the first time I did it, and
you get a lot for nothing. You know what I mean? It's just like click, done. It's really cool.
Yeah, and the nice thing I like too, like I mentioned, you can create contact cards, like social media cards, that each of the speakers can just go and download, and then post up their session on social media as well. And that's what a lot of anybody that's been doing those doing their events through Sessionize. I've been using those for for talks I'm doing for them. People have been grabbing mine and doing, and you can put your logo in there. You can change, use your create a color palette and all those things. It's really nice.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say, what was the last thing? Yeah, I actually reached out to them. So normally when they do an event, it only lasts 28 days, and obviously the Festive Tech was 31 days. And even reaching out to support, the guys were so nice, and they actually like changed the code there and then and deployed it and went, here you go. And I was like, wow. So, I mean, incredible support as well. So shout out to them. The last thing
I haven't reached out to them. I know Hugo did that for like Cloud Lunch and Learn, because we were trying to do an event for Cloud Lunch and Learn. I think it was similar thing. I think he had reached out and gotten some things changed and adjusted on the fly. Yeah. So yeah, they're great people to work with.
Yeah, maybe when I sort out Festive Tech Calendar with Richard this year, maybe we'll live stream sorting out. I could show people how it works, because it's really awesome.
The backstage look at Festive Tech Calendar.
Yeah, that would be cool. Everybody thinks it's a lot of work. Well, it is a lot of work, but like setting it all up to begin with is not too bad. A couple of days and you're up running. Yeah. You've also got Captain. I always get this wrong. Captain Hyperscaler. What have you got on there?
I'm working on doing a little bit more on that, because I've been doing so many other things. Captain Hyperscaler has been, the only thing that's happened with Captain Hyperscaler within the last year is I got a new logo.
Nice.
Captain Hyperscaler's been a little bit more. He's got a refreshed look to him now. But other than that, one of the things that I've posted over the weekend was I want to do some more videos on my Captain Hyperscaler YouTube channel. But like I said, work on Azure Back to School. I've got Connecting in the Clouds that I'm doing with Amy Collier and Shannon Keene. So those are all things that we're doing, that I've been doing, as well as a podcast with my own company, Head Securely in the Cloud. So doing a lot of things, and just trying to probably keeping myself a little too busy, as you kind of get yourselves in these ebbs and flows sometimes as MVPs, where it's like you're like really like doing a whole ton of stuff, and then you take a break for a little while.
It's very much like that. And then you think, oh my god,
then you think I'm not doing anything. I feel like I got too much free time on my hands, and then
exactly. Talk to us about Connecting in the Clouds then. What? So that's you, Amy, and
Shannon.
Yeah,
Shannon Keene and Amy Collier. I had them on a women in tech podcast, and we just had so much fun talking with each other. We just said, hey, let's do a regular live stream. And so around May timeframe, we started doing these. It was right around the same time. Global Azure was going on. I think we kind of premiered during Global Azure, and so Amy, Shannon, and I, or one of us or two of us, will bring in guests. It's and just kind of chat, chat about what they're doing. Usually, just community leaders and things, just like what they're doing about the community, helping to promote, maybe their events and things like that. That is pretty much what we've been doing. We might get a little, like you said, you're just doing these and chatting on topics and things like that, but you might get a little bit more technical into demos and things like that. Kind of similar thing. It's just fun to kind of just keep the communication going within the community. It's, because we're all, we all like talking to each other, but we don't. I think we got to create these things to make it. Like you said, we haven't talked for a while. I think the last time we talked was yours and Richard's podcast.
Exactly.
Probably, it's like those things. It's like, why do we have to create these live streams to chat with each other? But that's kind of what it does, and that's kind of what we're doing. We're I think our next chat, we do it every other Friday. We just had one last Friday where I had Brian Gorman and Alec Harrison, a couple fellow Midwestern MVPs on that one. And I think the 21st, I believe, I have April Edwards on. I think she's coming on the 21st, I believe. That's our next one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I've got a few lined up, so we'll just like you, I've kind of probably just went mad, and there's like 13 in a month or something, so we'll see how busy that gets us. But yeah, it's good fun talking to people.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. Just
I like finding
getting on with everybody, giving there. We're social people. We're I don't think I found too many introverted MVPs from.
We'll come on to MVPs in a minute, but just before we do, I wanted to give a shout out to Azure Spring Clean as well.
Yeah.
So that's the website for Azure Spring Clean.
Give Tom and Joe a shout out.
Yeah. If you're not familiar with us, do please have a look at that and reach out to Thomas Thornton and Joe. And maybe you can take part whenever that is. I think that was in March, I think.
They usually do March or April. It's kind of flowed, I think, based on their timing a little bit over the last couple of years. But yeah. So again, it's like blog content and videos.
Yeah.
things, demos, and all sorts of cool
So
stuff.
people reach out to me quite a lot and say, how do I become an MVP? And I kind of say, like, you need to take part in, well, you don't need to, but you should try and look out for these kind of events where you can get started. I always think these are a good idea for. So there's the Festive Tech Calendar, Azure Spring Clean, and the Azure Back to School, and at least 3 things that people can get started with.
Oh,
Because you automatically get accepted for these. It's not like Session Ice when you go to an event and you can get rejected. That doesn't happen, which is a win-win for
Nope.
everyone.
We're inclusive, right?
Exactly.
Oh, and that's, I mean, you said, to get started. That's how I got started in the community was just reaching out for your event, yours and Richard's event. It might even been the first year you had both done that.
Yeah, I think it was 4 years ago. I think, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
and that was kind of the first. That was kind of the first thing. That was kind of the first, the first bug. First bug that I took on there,
Yeah.
and then just continued on from there. Yeah. The next thing I did was Azure Spring Clean. Then I did Global Azure right behind that, and met some more people during Global Azure. I think you were doing some moderating. And that's where I met Hugo, and Hugo started Cloud Lunch and Learn, and I got involved and helped a lot of the organization around Cloud Lunch and Learn for that. It was like I said, for like the longest time, I knew more community. I had more community involvement in the UK and Europe than I did in the US.
Let's bring up Cloud Lunch and Learn before I forget. There we go. Yes, Cloud Lunch and Learn. Yeah, I'm going to get Hugo on as well, and we'll chat about that. So we'll do that in a future show, definitely. He's already reached out to me, so I definitely need to get back to him. So Hugo, don't worry, we'll definitely have you on chatting with us. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of good things. So recently the MVP renewals come up. We both got renewed. How does it feel to be renewed? Did you
just that you get that annual weight off your shoulders, right?
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point now where not that I don't take it for granted. You can't take it for granted. Obviously, it's an honor and a privilege, but I didn't sweat it this much this year. Everybody was talking about having to wait till the 6th and all of that. And the first came and it was like, oh yeah, I got to wait a few more days. But once the 6th once it was the 6th, I wasn't, I was like, I want to find out and let me find out. But up to that, I wasn't really, too stressed out. You get it or you don't. I felt, I feel that if you're continuing community content and community impact on a monthly basis, and I don't really, I'm not really concerned. And I'm one of those people that is project manages myself enough that I have all my that after I do something, I put it into my activity. So it's not like in March. So I'm not one of those people in March that has to put a year's worth of stuff in. So I saw what I could tell. I'm doing 4 or 5 things a month. That seems pretty substantial for somebody doing this in your free time. I'm not too worried. It's those people probably that worry are the ones that only contributed once every couple months and things like that that start to sweat. But yeah. It is something that is very it's definitely something that's an honor and something that I really cherish getting that. And like I was telling you before, I had been Azure. I recategorized last year to security, and now I'm Azure and security. So that was pretty cool to get the dual categorization this year, which is new. So.
Do you think that means twice as much? Is that twice as much as work, or how do you think that? How do you balance that? Do you just do 50-50 each month?
Yeah, it's kind of like just kind of a 50-50 thing. One of the tips that I found out from my program manager and why when I recategorize, some people when they put in to categorize the security, they kept their other their category that they were before. They took mine away, and I found out that it was because everything that I had done in the last year, I had put as a category of cloud security or identity and access management. I had put it all in that category. You kind of got to balance those out. So things that if I'm doing a talk that kind of fits both, Azure governance and security, I'll say, okay, what did I do last time? And if it was cloud security last time, I'll do Azure compliance and governance the next time, kind of thing, to keep keep those categories balanced out, because usually when I'm talking about security, Azure goes along with it anyway, but it's just balancing out and making sure that they're both properly put in there.
So if someone was to ask you, Dwayne, how do I become an MVP? What would your advice be?
I think the first and foremost is don't set out saying, oh, I'm going to become an MVP. It's I enjoy giving to the community. I enjoy giving back. I enjoy sharing. That's something that everybody within the community doesn't do this necessarily to be an MVP. They do it because they like doing it. They like talking to people. I like interacting with Gregor and everybody else in the community and sharing and giving back. And that's really what it comes down to. And, as somebody that's also a trainer in Microsoft, in Microsoft and ISC squared is that's why I do it, for people, to help people pass their exams, to help people learn other things. And that's the same thing with getting involved in the community, is you like to do it, and then becoming MVP is easy. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
If you're saying, oh, I'm going to check these boxes and I'm going to become an MVP, you're going about it the wrong way. Really, and for the most part, when you're talking, and I know you've personally been responsible for multiple people getting their MVP and mentoring them to become their becoming their MVP. I mean, you see it, we all see it within the community, and a lot of times, it's kind of funny when you talk to somebody after you've been awarded MVP and they're like, oh, you weren't an MVP already. And that's
I've seen that quite a lot.
Those are the things that you should act like an MVP before you become an MVP, and that's really just having the love for giving back to the community. And that's really the kind of the main thing and the main reason why all of us do this. And like I said, we don't do it necessarily to be or to maintain an MVP status. That's just something that gives us more opportunities, because once you get an MVP, it's a lot easier to get accepted to conferences and things like that too.
Yeah, no, that's
so
those
are all things. Yeah. Those are all kind of the benefits and kind of what you get out of it. It gives as much as you give. You get as much out of it as you give back to it. That's really what it comes down to.
So Nick's put up a comment: getting to know amazing people in the community to learn and grow from each other. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Kind of why we started the Festive Tech. We want to try and get people that we know and people that we don't know started, and kind of start making videos, and if they need help with like Camtasia or creating blog posts or anything like that, just start. And half the battle is just starting and trying to get to know people in the community.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I noticed you weren't at MVP Summit. Was you just too busy, or did you not get a chance to go to that?
Yeah, I had some personal stuff going on that wasn't allowing me to travel. I actually just cleaned up. I was telling you before the talk, I went to Reinforce in Anaheim. That was the first time I traveled in quite a while.
Right.
And it was really my first opportunity. I had two things that week that I had to turn down: the MVP Summit, as well as my company had a global security summit themselves in France. So I had to turn down both of those just because I had there was some family health problems that weren't allowing, that I could not leave just in case something went wrong within that. But hopefully next year, hopefully it doesn't fall on the same week like it did this year on my company security summit also, because if I could travel, I would have had to I definitely would have been needing to do that rather than the MVP Summit. So I probably would have, either way, whether I was traveling or not, would have missed MVP Summit this year. Hopefully they don't align next year, and I get to do that, because I haven't like you. I think was the first opportunity to do an in-person MVP Summit, right? I think because you got awarded a little bit before the pandemic, and then it was canceled that year, right? Yeah. Canceled your
We'd all-
first year. I think
we'd all planned.
your class was the first canceled, the first
Yeah, that's
non in
me and
person
Richard were
year, and then
gutted.
I was the following year. So
Yeah, we were both gutted because we had like there's a big thing about getting into a certain hotel and getting it all booked before it like fills up, and we got in and we were all like, super excited, and then cancelled due to COVID. So
yeah, exactly.
that was fine. What else have you got planned the rest of the year?
Oh,
Are you doing any triathlon or
what's that?
have you got any conferences coming up?
Yeah, there's a few. Actually, there's in September. There is a conference in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is only a couple hours from me. So I'm doing a talk. It's called GRRCon, GRRR Con.
Nice.
But it's a security conference, and I've got a talk there. I'm doing a talk at the ISC Squared Security Congress, which I'm really excited about. Myself and fellow MVP Carl Otz are both gonna be a couple of us MVPs that are there.
Nice.
And doing talks as well. I'll be doing a talk, and I was also added as a volunteer moderator, so I'll be moderating some sessions as well, which will be kind of cool. First time going to that conference. I attended it virtually last year. There's been multiple. I've a couple of times submitted sessions that this is the first time I've gotten a session accepted there. So it's kind of one of those bucket lists, kind of like speaking at Ignite. You know, something you want to do. And then Tech Bash in Pennsylvania. I've got 2 sessions. That's in November. So September, October, November. I've got a in-person conference that I'll be doing.
When do you get time to down tools? What, you not got any holidays planned or no?
August. I'm not doing much in August.
Make it on this back on August, then we can do it on.
Yeah, right.
That's nice. Cool.
Yeah,
So
right before Azure Back to School, I'll be taking a break.
how many folk have you got signed up for Azure Back to School? Do you know?
What's that?
How many people have you got signed up for Azure Back to School?
I think we got about 50 sessions right now, and let me.
So there's no limit on it. You're just going to keep going until.
Oh no, I just keep going. We'll just
right.
Yeah, I've got. Let me see how many speakers do I have.
Yeah, I'll try and plug it as well. Yeah.
I think we. Let's see session. Let me look at my dashboard. Hold on. I'm trying to find the right place on Sessionize. 43 unique speakers, 51 sessions right now. So, but yeah, we just keep going. We'll just put multiple in a day. Like I said, we're doing some live streaming. We'll probably be doing the live streams on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And we'll keep the times consistent and, do a couple a day. I think we got about 20 people that have asked to do live streams. We might back off on that a bit, ask them to do it because some of them click both pre-recorded or live stream. So I'll ask them if they would do a pre-recorded just because finding those time slots and stuff. But we'll try and accommodate as many live streams as possible just because I like doing these things live. Are fun. They're fun. Yeah. And more interactive for people. People can ask questions and all of those things as well. So, but yeah, there's no cap on anything. So the fact that I've already got 51 sessions for 30 days, we'll just add more to the calendar that day. Just like I know you do the same thing with the festive tech calendar. I think it started out one a day and taking some days off, and now it's multiples on a day, right?
Yeah.
That's how these events seem to organically continue to grow. Because I think last year, I said, we're only like 15 short of how many of what we hit last year. I think we had 66 sessions or so last year.
That's good.
So we got 20 days left for people to submit sessions, and we're already at 51. So
I'll try and get some people at work to sign up as well. Yeah, right. So I was looking into giveaways. So I've got a LinkedIn premium voucher code. So let's see if this works, because this could go horribly wrong. So
let's see it.
The people who are watching, I think it might be YouTube only. I'm not entirely sure, but if you type in hashtag Azure Greg in the chat, I'll then see if this works. So let's just try it. We'll start collecting. Okay, so we've got one entry. That's probably me. So I'll leave that running for a wee bit, and then we can come back in a couple of minutes. So are you got any plans to go on holiday, or are you just going to take time off?
We're talking about going to the Eastern Shore.
Okay.
Kids have.
Where are you based at the moment? Where's
I'm
your
based in Michigan, so
Michigan.
upper Midwest of the United States. So if you look at a U.S. map, it's the state that looks like a mitten. That's where Michigan is. And so we're surrounded by the Great Lakes, right, which are almost like, you can't see a body of water across them anyway, but or you can't see land across those bodies of water. But my kids have never really been to any of the ocean, so they've been bugging us the last couple of years. Hey, let's go to the ocean. So we might go to, talking about like Virginia Beach or Myrtle Beach or something like that in August. So we've got like 1 week window to have a holiday, because my daughter's doing an internship that doesn't end until the 11th, and then she goes back to university. So we got the week of the 14th, and then the following week we got to take her back to university. So for maybe her last year of school. So she's going to graduate in 3 years. So
nice.
at a 4-year university. So she's a go-getter.
Sounds good. Right, okay, for the giveaway, we'll give it to Learn Azure with Nick, because he's the only person who's taking part, so that's fine. Right, okay, so just coming to an end, let me just see what I was going to say. So if anyone who is watching wants to come on this show and kind of chat to me about anything, then please do have a look at that URL there. So that'll bring up the calendar, and you can choose the date and time that you want to come on, and I'll send you a link and we'll go from there. So if anyone else wants to do come on, I've got Nick already coming on. I've actually got, who have we got next week? We've got this week I've got John Lunn coming on. I've got Nick and Simon Lee coming on the rest of the week. So
nice.
Busy. 2 on Wednesday, so that'll be good.
Any golfing you got going, Gregor? I know you're a big golf.
Yeah, I played golf the weekend.
I saw your note that you didn't lose any balls over the weekend.
Yeah, this season's been a disaster, an absolute disaster. Like, the golf has went from semi-decent handicap to not very good handicap. Just don't know what's going on. I've just been terrible. And this weekend was the first decent score this year.
I haven't picked up the clubs in probably 10 years, unfortunately.
I went from 2 to a handicap was 2, and it's now 9, so it's went up quite dramatically in 2 years. So I'm blaming working from home and not getting any golf. So sitting on my backside all day long and putting weight on.
Yeah.
Right, I think we had a comment there. So Nick's asking, Dwayne, what are the certificates behind you? What have you got there?
What are behind me? Well, so right at my head are those are my 3 main ISC squared certificates, the ones with the green bar under them. That's my CISSP, my CCSP, which is the cloud, the vendor independent cloud certification, and the other one's the governance, risk, and compliance certification, which is the most recent one that I got. Then I've obviously got my MVP over here. I'm also an AWS community builder for security and compliance.
Oh, that's cool.
Or security and identity, I mean. Similar to MVP, except you self-nominate yourself. If anybody's interested in doing that, you could look that up and actually self-nominate yourself for an AWS community builder.
Interesting.
So
I didn't realize you could do both. I thought
No, I mean, it's AWS has their AWS Heroes, which is more like the MVP. Yeah, okay. It's nominated by FTE from AWS. But so those are, that's kind of the equivalent to the MVP. This is more kind of like, getting like a hero badge and stuff like that. But it's neat. We had our own little mixer event. I met some AWS, for the community, and it was just community builders and heroes and stuff like that. So I met some of those people. Down below is my master's degree. I've got my, the red is my MCT certificate. Under my MVP is my ISC squared trainer certificate. And then up top here is aligned with all of my, a good portion of my associate or expert certificates.
You're a busy man with the search.
For Microsoft, huh?
You're a busy man when it comes to search. Well, listen, Dwayne, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure. We'll probably get you back on for a session on Sessionize if you want to do that. That would be quite good. We could probably.
No, that'd be great.
You could ask questions while me and Richard are maybe setting up for the festive tech calendar, because we probably forget how to do it, and you can help us.
Sounds
So
good.
good.
Happy to help.
Yeah, let me just put up a quick video about who's coming up next. So we've got John is coming up next.
Mr. Johnny Chips.
Johnny
Very
Chips
nice.
is coming up Wednesday, so that'll be good.
Have to tune in to watch Johnny. I haven't seen Johnny in a
Yeah,
while.
I've not spoken to him.
He's been offline since he became a Microsoft employee.
Yeah,
stopped doing his Johnny Chips live and all that.
I've been taking the mickey out of him the whole time, so that'll be good. We'll look forward to that. Thanks again for coming on, and I'm just going to play a wee kind of thanks for watching video. So thanks for coming on, Dwayne. I'll reach out to you after this to say thanks personally.
Yeah, thanks, Gregor. Yep.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye for now.
Cheers, everybody.